Cool. So y'all did great overall on the code challenge. A lot of people got to the advanced stuff, and pretty much everyone knocked it out. So uh, just a quick like thumbs up, thumbs down. How you feeling after this? Awesome. Cool. So I'm gonna do I guess pretty quick run through. It should be very similar to the stuff that we did yesterday. And if there's anything that you want to stop and dive into more, we will do that. And if you have any questions about anything that we're doing, please jump in and ask about that. Before we do so, is there any questions about anything that was on the challenge or anything that felt particularly tricky to anyone there? Oh, feeling good then. Great.
I appreciated that the post deliverable was bolded.
Yeah. Yep, do that part for sure. Cool. Let me go ahead and share and get everything set up here. Chat set up. Okay. Chat over there. That closed up. Everything puts so much trash on the screen. Okay, great. Cool. So let's see where the let's get the repo. How about that? Cool. Thanks. So this is again real similar to the Plancy one we did yesterday. This is the Bank of Flatiron, and we are going to be building out the application here. We've got a little bit of framework to work with, so that's nice. So I've got all everything set up and running. I think we've got our server uh, running transactions. Great, that's good there, and the backend is running. So see a table of the transactions. So we're going to go grab this data with a fetch, and we're going to put it in state and display it in this table here. Everyone got that. So I'm going to go through that real quick. Fill out and submit the form to add a new transaction. This is a post that is nice and bolded there. So we'll post to that and then add to the state or data afterwards. We have been warned that we might be getting severe thunderstorms, hail, and possibly tornadoes here. So if I drop out suddenly, that's why. Let's hope that doesn't happen. And our third deliverable is filtering the transactions by typing the search bar. Again, did this yesterday, so it should be pretty straightforward. So let's see what we got. Allergies is what we got. Let's go to our components. We'll just start off there. Great, got warnings there, no problem. So let's go ahead and do our fetch first, since we got that all taken care of. Throw a constant for that. Bank API. And in here, we're just going to do a use effect with a fetch. Thanks. And just gonna console log out, make sure that everything is good. One of these has to go away. And here is errors. What do we do? Mm -hmm. Nope. Fetch there. Which one is getting empty? Am I gonna pass this code challenge? Use vector fetch bank API. Great. Then response. Aha. Extra. I'll put our array at the end there. Yeah. Now we should get our console log. There's our 12 transactions. Great. Cool. So now I need a state to put all those in. So I'm going to throw all those in a state. just call it transactions. Set. And since it's an array, we're going to start off with an empty array. And instead of console logging, we're just going to set transactions. So that means when we get that JSON data back, we've got our array and we're just setting the state to that. So again, that should work without exploding, ideally. Great, no explosions. Getting there. Great. And what is it? Transactions inside of value. Yeah. So now we want to use that value. And we're going to use that value in the account container, I guess. And here's the transactions list. And this looks like another case where we can probably, like we were talking about yesterday, drop that down since we just have like literally just the header here and the account container. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this into our account container. So we're throwing stuff around less. And I will remember to get the use effective use state this time. Boom. So refactored, everything should work just the same, ideally. Nope, what did I mess up? Bank API is not defined. No, it's not. Almost got everything. Cool. Let's close that up. All right, so now we're going to pass our transactions down to the transactions list. And that's where we can start showing our stuff. So we're going to grab that out of the props. And let's see what we got. We got a table. Oh boy. So the table is going to have the date, description, category, and amount. And the table rows are going to be in here. So I'm just going to do our little map here. And the table rows transaction. Yeah, awesome. That's what I like. So all I'm going to do is in here, I'm going to take our transactions. And since we want to turn the object array into a list of components, we're going to map it. And we're going to say transaction. And we're just going to get one of those transactions. Transaction, 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 transaction. And yeah, we need a key for that. ID, how about? Is that going to yell at us because of the spacing stuff? Maybe. Oh, great. Cool. So we've got all our blank transactions. Now all we need to do is go in here and in our transaction, grab a transaction out of state. And now we put our code here. And since transaction is a long word, I'm going to destructure our stuff out of here. So const, what do we got? We got date, description, category, amount. I'm just going to destructure those out of that. So I can just use those words here. And those are in the order date, description, category, amount. Great. Date. Description. Category. Out. And if I did everything right, yeah, there we go. And there's our transactions. Yeah, so that took all of 10 minutes or so. I think someone had a question about some specifics in here. I don't remember what it was. Anyone have any questions about how this stuff works? I think maybe it was a question about the amount being a number or a string. Nope. So if it comes up, give a holler and we will do it. In general, the JSON has again, we're using decimals here, not great. Yeah, so we're using numbers in here for the amounts. So when you send it in to there, it should also be a number in the object that you stringify and send in. It will become a string when you send it along, and then it'll become a number again, and then vice versa. Uh, I think someone may have been sending a string along as the amount. Um, and since we're not doing any math on it or anything, it displays fine. But we probably want to make that a number. And again, ideally, I would make this like 1055 or 1000000 and count pennies because adding decimals in any computer language is going to be uh, uncertain. So if there's no more questions about that, let's see what we need to do next. Next, we are going to fill out and submit the form to add a transaction. Yeah, go for it.
I do. So I think I am likely one of the ones who is sending strings along because I didn't do anything to that number other than put it in an object, stringify the object, and send it on its way. So I'm assuming that gets you a string in the API.
Yeah, so if you're just taking the value
And
out of the HTML, that will, I think, unless the field, and I don't know if it is set to be, yeah, it's not an input field. Oh, input field up here. Where am I looking at?
it is has like the ticker thing on it.
Okay, so it is type number. It might come across as a number, but I wouldn't count on it being a number. So I would probably explicitly transform it to a number and send it over.
Where would I transform it when I send it over? Because when you stringify it, doesn't it turn it all into a string?
Yeah.
Already?
So what it does, so it stringifies the object as it exists. So if the value is a number in the object, it's going to stringify the entire thing. And then when it destringifies it on the database side, it's going to turn that back into a number.
Okay.
If it's a string, it'll stringify the whole thing, and then when it turns it back, it'll turn it into a string.
Okay, I think I understand.
Yeah. And again, for our purposes here, since we're just looking at them, it doesn't really matter. I think if you're sorting them, that's going to matter. Or if we're doing any math with stuff, that's going to matter. Yeah, just assume anything you're getting from HTML is probably a string, but who knows what, and just make sure it is the thing that you think it is. Cool. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. Add transaction. Look at that. So we're definitely going to want to, well, let's do it from the bottom up, I guess. So add transaction. Here's our form. And first thing we want to do when we see a form is fully control this form. So we've got 4 things. I'm going to go ahead and use an object for it. So I'm going to say const new transaction. I'm not going to spell the whole thing out. New transaction is set transaction equals use state. And since transactions are objects, it's going to be an empty object. And so let's put our values and whatnot in here. So value is going to be date. And again, this is probably a string coming out of that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll show you how to check. But again, if we were doing stuff like sorting by date and stuff, I would probably want to turn this into something both storable in JSON and sortable. So probably like an ISO date string. That's like the standard UTC plus 500 and then all the numbers. But dates are a giant pain in the butt. If you do anything with the calendar, you will know this. Right now, we're not worried about it. I'm just going to send the date over. So the value is that, and let's go ahead and put our on change. And this is going to be a function that we're going to write. Since we have our objects up here, we can write a generic function. So the on change is going to be a handle change. Let's go ahead and write that right now. How about that? Function handle change. So it's going to take an event. And again, we're going to take the value and the name of that event's target, and we're going to update the state with it. So I'm going to set new trans, and this is going to be, I'm going to spread out the old one the old new one. I can type. And I'm going to put the new one in there. And I'm going to, again, spread it out so it's a little bit easier. And we're going to call it, what's new, added. And so this is going to be the, wait, new transaction, a new transaction. Yeah, right. So we just want to get the name and value. So our new name is going to be the target name const. New value is our e target value. And then our new, I'm just going to spell it out. New transaction equals, yeah, let's just do this here. We're going to, what do I want to do? Yeah, so I'm going to do some 2 steps again for y'all. This is the one from the state. And then I'm going to use the action. I'm going to use the bracket syntax and set that value. And then I'm just going to set new. Cool. So I'm getting the name and the value, and I'm putting that in there, spreading out the old one, adding the new thing, and then doing that. Can I do that all in one line if I don't know the name already? Yeah. And again, this could be shortened up by pulling these, squishing them. This is just for clarity of what's happening there because it's not always super intuitive. Cool. So that is setting the state of those. Let me go ahead and add it to the other ones. Boop. Boop, 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 Great. So this will be amount. This will be category. This will be description. Cool. So ideally, unless I did something wrong, which, you've seen that happen. Ideally, we can look at the components, and here's our transaction form. That's our state there. We should be able to, when we select date, it should give us a new date. Great. Description, thing. There's a thing, category, stuff, and the amount. Great. So now we have our new thing. Now we just need to send it up to where we need to send it. So, and again, I think there was a question last time about whether we could do the post here and send it back up or whatever. Yeah, we can do it in either place, really. Let's do it here just for kicks and see what happens. So let's do the post down here, I guess. So we're going to set up an on submit equals submit form. Great. And let's go ahead and make that function. And that's going to take an event. And first thing we're going to do is print default. And so now we want to, let's do our post right here. Although we don't have the API. So I'm not going to do the post here. I don't want to have to declare the API in 2 places. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to clear out the form. Trans to that. And I'm going to use handle submit with our new transaction. And that means I'm going to need to grab the handle submit from up here, which means I need to now pass that down in there. So our and so this will be add new transaction, I guess. And this will be our new transaction. Boom. So we have two things to do here. We have a post. Actually, let's add that right here. Submit equals in release loop there. And so since we're calling it handle submit here, we need to make sure we're calling it handle submit when we're passing it down, vice versa. And then we can call whatever function we want here. Let's add new transaction. And right now, just to be cool, so we're doing the thing down there. Just console log out the new transaction and make sure that everything is relatively okay. So pick a date, blah 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 blah. Nope, can't do that. Number. Undefined to a defined value. I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Cool. So setting up. Hey, let me look at this warning. The component is changing an uncontrolled input to be controlled. Yes. This is likely caused by the value changing from undefined to a defined value, which should not happen. Decide between user controlled or uncontrolled input element for the lifetime of the component. Did I control the component incorrectly? The value is set to that. The name that. What am I doing there?
I was actually going to ask about this. Is this because the new transaction state is set to an empty object instead of like the object with the keys that should match it?
Maybe, yeah. Let's see what happens when we put the keys in. This is gonna be so date is gonna be nothing. Description is gonna be nothing. Our category is gonna be nothing. And our amount is going to be, let's call it 0. Cool. I wonder if that's going to do anything. Nope, same thing. I know I've seen that error before, and I know I've fixed it before.
Possibly that in the set, in the use state where it has the empty object. Pretty much the same thing you just did there.
Yeah.
I think that's how I fixed that in the past. It didn't show up on this one for me though. I'm not exactly sure what causes it.
Interesting. Let me see.
I also had that issue, and then adding the ID in there made it go away. I don't know if it did that, or I just thought it did that, but
Let's see if that makes it go away. Yep, that made it go away. Yeah, so it just needs to be the same shape all around, I guess. We probably got that warning in the one we did yesterday. If you ever decide to try your hand at using TypeScript, which is basically JavaScript, only stricter, those will not be warnings. Those will be errors that you have to fix. So it's good to have it. Part of the joy of using JavaScript is using shortcuts like we did here that got the warning. If it's not breaking anything, don't worry about it. But if you, like me, are worried about warnings because they usually point to errors later on, we can fix it. Yeah, TypeScript is, I don't know if it's scary. It's a little bit tedious, to be honest. A lot of people like it because it gives them a little bit more type safety, and so they can catch errors of types. So like, oh, this is supposed to be a number, and I set it to a string accidentally, and I don't know why it's behaving weirdly when I add stuff. That will cut off that kind of errors real quick. Or like, oh, these are supposed to be arrays, and I accidentally set it to a string, and nothing's going to work. It'll tell you those errors like when it tries to run it. It'll say like, nah, can't do it at all, instead of finding out when you are in the process of running it. That said, I don't know that it speeds up production as much as it slows it down, adding all those extra checks and making sure they're right. So people have opinions about it. I'm ambivalent. It's a kind of fun thing to learn. I don't know that is the miracle bullet cure silver that everyone thinks it is. So if you think it sounds fun, give it a shot. But don't believe anyone that says that it's the second coming. Cool. Where were we? We are adding stuff. Right. Yeah, we need to do a post here. Cool. So we got our new transaction. Let's go ahead and do our post. Not set up my shortcut for doing the methods yet. Let's do a fetch to our bank API, and we're going to do options. It's going to be a method post. Here's our headers. Da, da. Mhm. And we need to send the body along. This is where we'll do JSON body, JSON stringify, and our new transaction. Cool. So that should do the post and edit. Then we just need to take care of the stuff that comes back. So we'll do our advance. And then let's just go ahead and add the new transaction to our list. So that's going to be set transactions, and we need to give it the whole array. So it's going to be an empty array. We want to fill that empty array with the current contents, and we need to smack the here we go. Should call us JSON for now. It's a bad name. And add that at the end. So hopefully that should update our state with the new one at the end after it successfully comes back. Let's see. Last one here is Venmo. So there's the date. I lose the ability to click into these fields when it automatically reloads sometimes. I'm not sure why. But the things, still uncontrolled. I don't know why. Add that transaction, and there's the thing. Oh, the date wasn't in there. That's okay. If I reload, is the thing still there? It is. Great. So we've updated the database and refreshed our thing. I didn't give it a date, but trust me, it works. And I think so. If we pass it in as a string versus a number, see if we do 033 there. This is a string. It's giving us 033 there. So really what I want to do is set the, I can do it here, or I could do it in the form. I think I'm gonna do it in the, well, no. Yeah, I would either have to set it up here, or when I'm sending it here, I might want to say like amount equals something like that. And now, so since that's a string, it'll keep that leading 0. Let me go ahead and add something else. Glurb, 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 keeping that leading 0. And now that leading 0 is not there because it's an actual number. So that's what we like to see. And there's probably better ways to do that. I'm just doing it to get it done right here. So any questions about the second part?
Does parse int maintain the decimal too?
No, you're right. Good catch.
Not to make it more complicated or
No,
anything.
it's not more complicated. It's just a different function. So yeah, if we do like 433, that should give us 4 down there. Yeah. So I can just do parse float instead. Easy peasy. Do our 099 and that maintains the floating point. Yeah, again, like if I was storing this in my own database, I would store the number of cents and then do the multiply and divide by 100 either way, because that's not going to get screwed up with decimals. But this way works for now. Any other questions about this part?
Yeah, I had a question about that because I think the question you're talking about was me.
Mhm.
Because at first I was passing it as a string. So in the DB.json file, it didn't match like the ones that it gave you, because it would be a string in there, right?
Yeah.
the
So
amount.
there's the
And
amount right
then,
there, and that's a string.
yeah,
That's
so,
weird.
but
That's why we're
it
keeping-
would still look the same, right?
Say that again.
Like like if you put like 22, like 32, like the cents, like you wouldn't be able to tell if you're just looking at the web page if it was a string or not.
Yeah. So the only way we can tell it's a string is that there's a leading zero here,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, that's probably not doing any math on the
Yeah, and then before I submitted, I was looking at the deliverables and it has like it highlighted in red, like
Mm,
number.
the
So that's
num
why I was wondering if like that would have not passed or something.
number. I think that's actually just an artifact of the formatting here. I don't think that's a call out.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Take a look at the. Nope, I don't want to copy that. I want to look at the. Let's look at the raw source. Read me raw. And yeah, so that's just an artifact of how it's parsing that JSON there. Probably because it's probably showing that as an error because it's expecting JavaScript JSON, which always needs to be in strings there, but our actual JSON
Yeah.
file just needs the number there.
I thought it was like make sure you do this kind of
No.
thing.
I think
Okay.
the advanced deliverables, there's yeah, if there was like a sort by amount, that would mess that up because you can't sort numbers and strings the same way. Or if we were doing like a total amount, it wouldn't be able to add that string the wrong way. It would be like number with our number in the middle and then number at the end because we're concatenating strings at that point. But yeah, so but it's not specified, so get away with what you can get away with. Yeah, just something to keep in mind for the future. Other questions here? Awesome. Let's do our last bit. I'm not even going to control the form. We want to do a search in our search field, and all I'm going to do is use the on change. Yeah. So I'm going to pass down and handle change function. Call it handle change. And on change, I'm just going to say handle change target value. So the thing that is throwing the event is the target, which is the input itself. It's throwing a change event anytime it gets changed. And we're just going to call whatever function gets passed in with the value of the thing that is changing, which is the input field. And so now I can pass in handle change here. And I can just pass in console log right now, and it should log when we change stuff. Let's see if that does it. Again, let's see if I'm lying. ABC, yeah, so it's just logging out the thing that's changed. Cool. So now we can use that thing in our what do you call these things? Components. So I'm just going to add a search term and set search term and use state. And I'm going to set it to an empty string for starters, so that will match everything. Here, instead of passing the console login, I'm just going to pass in a function that looks like this. Well, actually, I'm just going to pass in set search term, since we want to set the search term to whatever the search term is. So we don't need to write an extra function. And now we just use it on our transactions list. So I'm just going to filter it. Filter by, what do you call it, T. T name includes our search term. And again, if we wanted to make that here more easier, if we want to make that case insensitive, we know how to do that. So let's go ahead and reload. What did I break?
I think it's description, not name.
Ah, yes. Cool. There we go. And now I do PAY. Great. Check. Great. And that's an easy search. Again, we could control that search form if we need to. Throw a state up here, have that change the state, and pop it up. If I was building a full application, I would definitely do that. But rule 1 definitely applies here, so that works. Yeah, so that is the basic deliverables of the code challenge in 40 minutes. Not bad. Anyone have any questions about anything that we've covered at all? All super clear? Can I get a thumbs up in chat to verify? Or a Y or something? Yeah, there we go. Jason speaks for everyone. Good. Cool.
I don't want that.
Yeah, I think that's it. The sorting, same thing. You'd add a, does it have a drop down? Probably doesn't have a drop down, right? Yeah. So you'd add that there, add a state for that, and then just do a sort after your filter. And then the delete, we know how to do that. Add a thing when you click on it, do a post or do a delete request that deletes the thing and removes it from the list. And I'm not going to type that out because y'all know how to do that, I'm sure, or could with very little effort. So I think that is all we have for that. Anything else you want to talk about in relation to this? Cool. Yeah, everyone killed it. So I'm real happy with everything I saw. Cool. Let me stop sharing. Stop share. Sharing. There we go. Great. So yeah, phase 2 code challenge over. One last thing to worry about. Congratulations. So yeah, after let's take a little break after lunch. I will post the project pairs. I think we have pairs. There might be an extra. We'll do a 3. Unless someone's dying to do a solo project, then let me know and we'll hook it up. Yeah, but other than that, last call for questions. Yeah, great job, everyone. Yeah, so many people hit the stretch level. It's great. Cool. I will post this up in the channel, and yeah, so you can look at your leisure. I'll see y'all after lunch. Good work.